Our objective is how will infrastructure investment boost the economy, and what are the costs and benefits of Trump's plan. In general, infrastructure investment has a positive effect on the economy and is considered helpful. It impacts macroeconomic factors such as GDP, increased employment, PPC, and an impact on the multiplier. Although the cost of infrastructure includes increased inflation, the leading factor being the current unemployment rate being close to 4% already, the benefits of increased employment, economic growth, and other factors shall have a positive impact on America. So what is infrastructure? Infrastructure is referred to as the capital-intensive systems or facilities, or in general, the basic physical systems of a business or nation. It can even expand to include research and development expenditures as they add to the stock of technology and the overall available public information to be utilized by private individuals. Examples include transportation, communication, sewage, water, and electrical systems. Infrastructure investment impact on GDP. Government spending on public stock is directly related to the G in the calculation for GDP. When a government increases spending, this correlates to an increase in GDP. There can also be an increase in private sector output, such as building roads or bridges, allowing businesses and individuals to be more productive in the long run, freeing up time and resources that can be used to promote further economic output. For example, an infrastructure investment in a bridge may reduce commute times, distances for truck drivers, enabling them to deliver goods to consumers more quickly and at a lower cost to themselves, and allowing businesses to produce and deliver more goods to consumers. This in turn shall increase GDP for a nation. Infrastructure impact on employment. Infrastructure investments are likely to impact employment as well. Recent research suggests modest reductions in the unemployment rate in response to increased infrastructure investment. In general, an increase in economic output correlates to an increase in employment. As an economy is making more goods and services, it shall require more people to produce them. As stated before with the bridge example, the creation of a bridge can allow businesses to produce and deliver more goods. More infrastructure investments have a larger impact on the short-term employment, although research shows that if deficit is neutral, it has no long-term impact on employment. Employment will also increase in the construction of infrastructure. A plan for a construction of a new bridge or highway will require government to hire construction workers to help build them, leading to an increase in employment. The creation of infrastructure creates new jobs and opportunities for workers and an economy. Okung's law, proposed by Arthur Melvin Okung, states that the increased economic growth shall lead to increased employment and vice versa. The addition of infrastructure investments shall lead to economic growth by factors listed before, supporting the notion that employment shall also increase. This is supported by Okung's law. Although government spending doesn't shift PPC can shift outwards because of increase in economic output. Productivity is increased in many ways, mostly relating specifically to production of goods and services. Better roads equal shorter time for goods to be delivered. Better schools make more productive workers for the future, thus increasing human capital. Businesses can utilize the infrastructure that the government provides to produce more or improve upon the technology they utilize to produce goods.
Now, onto our LRAS graph. Like stated before, businesses can utilize not only roads and other physical infrastructure investments that the government provides, but also technological and public information infrastructure investments. Because of these government investments, this will increase output, like in machinery and tools, and this will shift the graph accordingly. Infrastructure also impacts multipliers. Infrastructure can impact the multiplier effect as well. The multiplier effect suggests that $1 of government spending may increase economic output by more than $1. For example, when the government hires contractors to build infrastructure projects, the employers and suppliers used by the contractors have additional money as well, and at least spend some of that on goods and services provided by other businesses. MPC would increase, as well as people would spend more, inversely reducing MPS. Also, the spending multiplier would increase as well. Now, onto Trump's plan. Here's some of the basic details. It will be over 10 years, cost $1.7 trillion, will not be budget neutral, will have a deficit, 80% of the cost would be shouldered by states and local governments, and 20% by the federal government. 100 billion would be parceled out as incentives to local governments to make sure that they would actually do it. 20 billion for transformative projects, 50 billion for rural block grants, which states can spend on their choosing, and the rest of the budget would be spent on infrastructure-related undertakings, like bridges, roads, and other things like energy and mineral development, and create a federal lending program. Now let's talk about some of the benefits of Trump's plan. Some of the basic benefits would be the obvious: increased GDP, increased employment, a better PPC, and a positive impact on the multiplier, like said before. As seen by the graph, one example is China. They spent 40% of their GDP on infrastructure, and that increased their overall GDP by almost 9%. But other countries have not had the same fate. For example, Italy spent 20% of their GDP on infrastructure, and their GDP actually went down. So it will not always have a positive impact on your GDP. Let's talk about some of the costs of Trump's plan. One of the glaring costs of Trump's plan is increased inflation. 35 years ago would have been a good time for infrastructure investment because the unemployment rate was at 5 to 6%. Now that it is creeping below 4%, if this plan goes through, it could lower unemployment rates to 1 to 2%, which would result in moderate inflation. Overall, the increase in infrastructure investment is a big benefit for the economy. Even though Trump's plan has a risk of inflation and a budget deficit, that could be fixed by increasing interest rates and by reducing the budget in some other places. So theoretically, it should be excellent for the overall U.S. economy. As well as increasing GDP and productivity, it should secure our economy well into 2020 and beyond. These are our citations. Thank you.